Welcome to the Morning Edition Extra. I'm Adelma Ruiz coming to you from Alaska's News Sources Digital Desk. We have some weather that's happening. It's been cold all week long. So as we go into our weekend, here's meteorologist Aaron Morrison, who's going to give us a breakdown over our weather. Aaron.
For two regions across the state, southeast, there's a first alert weather day for today and Saturday. We've got snow becoming rain on top of that record-breaking snow that we saw from December. This is going to lead to some major flooding through parts of the Panhandle, a high avalanche risk, and of course some landslide concerns will remain with us as well. And then here in South Central, as we welcome in Saturday, widespread heavy snowfall will be likely with reduced visibility and some gusty conditions to be expected as well. This will also lead to some wind chill issues across South Central. Now, our area of low pressure still well south of Kodiak. Now, we'll see a new low forming just east of Kodiak Island later today into our Saturday, and that's the system that we're going to be watching that's going to lead to additional snowfall building in across South Central. Now, when we're looking at this system from a bigger perspective, you can see an atmospheric river that is going to take aim on a southeast. You can see the extent of that tail of that moisture and cloud coverage extending well into the central parts of the Pacific Ocean. All of this moisture as well as warmer weather is building into southeast, and we're seeing a transition from snow to rain lifting south to north. So snow is going to lead to that rain transition where we're going to see those avalanche and landslide risks, flooding concerns, and high winds for parts of the southern Panhandle where we could see winds gusting up to about 60 miles per hour. Temperatures are already warming above freezing as you head through the southern Panhandle, 37 in Petersburg, 44 in Sitka, while locations to the north are still sitting in the teens and the 20s. In fact, from Klukwaan out towards Skagway and Haines, where a winter storm warning remains in place, this is what will largely hold on to some snowfall above 1,000 feet, where we'll see 12 to 17 inches of snowfall accumulation, and locations below 1,000 feet will see up to 12 inches of snowfall. Now, as you head through the central parts of the Panhandle as well as out towards Sitka, we do have that winter weather advisory for the next few hours where we could see 1 to 3 inches of snowfall. But the bigger concern comes with this flooding potential that we're going to see. In addition to that flooding potential, any rain that falls on top of that record-breaking snow is just going to make it heavier. So that snow loading will increase on those boats out in the harbor as well as out towards those rooftops and parts of the northern Panhandle. So there's that transition taking place through the day. Somewhere during the afternoon hours between 1 to 3 p.m. we'll see that transition taking place for Juneau, but you can see areas to the north holding on to that snowfall well into the evening hours. We'll see a dry period through the overnight hours on into Saturday, and then more rain as well as some wintry mix will be possible as we welcome in your Sunday and on into the weekend. So continue to hold on to this potential for more of this rain snow mix, and we're talking about anywhere from 1 to 3+ inches looks possible. Really pay attention to locations south of Juneau where we're going to see all rain with this event. This is where we could see 3+ inches of that rainfall accumulation. Locations to the north, this is going to be primarily a snow with a gradual transition to rain event into the overnight hours on into Saturday. So both days are a first alert weather day, and we are going to see those impacts carry on into next week as well with additional rain and snow to be expected. Meanwhile, across South Central, we've also got several locations that remain up under some form of a weather alert with a winter storm watch issued for parts of South Central. We are expected to see several inches of snowfall accumulation. We are going to watch a band of heavier snowfall that's going to set up somewhere between the western Susitna Valley and over the Cook Inlet region, which includes Anchorage and through the valley as well as western parts of the Kenai. Where this situates and where this sets up shop is where we're going to see some of the heaviest snowfall accumulation. This is what we call a deformation band, and within that band of snowfall, snowfall rates can exceed well above what we'll see for the rest of South Central, and deformation bands tend to bring a lot more snowfall than forecast. So we are going to be watching for that into the weekend. That is a first alert weather day for you, a high of 24 degrees. Be prepared for some lowering visibility with those breezy conditions. The snow lightens up into Sunday. And then we'll be watching some occasional snowfall chances into next week with highs pushing 20 degrees.
Thank you so much for that, Aaron. And speaking of that weather, kids are out of school today in Juneau for a third time this week amid severe weather. First, it was record snowfall, and now Southeast is dealing with the challenges that come with the warm-up. Joe Allgood spoke with the Department of Transportation to learn what drivers need to know.
It is definitely a challenge, and it's all hands on deck. Every operator is out in every single piece of equipment that they can possibly be in, and they're continuing to, plow and sand and push those berms back for people.
DOT crews have been working to clear snow where they can from Juneau state roads. Now they're looking to the next round of extreme weather.
What's coming up in the next couple hours, next couple days, is actually the high winds and an atmospheric river, so lots of moisture. And those are just the kind of conditions that we would see right before an avalanche. And we want to keep everyone safe.
The avalanche gates on Thane Road will be closed Friday in anticipation of the heavy rain.
If a slide does naturally release, we'll get out there and clean it as quickly as possible.
Residents are advised to call 511 and report any avalanches they may come across on the road, even small ones.
So we really don't want people driving through it. We want them to report it and then wait for DOT crews to clear that for them.
Joe Allgood, Alaska's news source.
In Anchorage, deep snow is forcing wildlife out of their usual habitats and into Anchorage neighborhoods. Fish and Game says until now we haven't had a significant dump of snow this season, but with more on the way, expect to see even more moose around. As the snow gets deeper in the mountains and foothills, they tend to come to town looking for easier travel and food. And it's not just about the snow. These moose are also nutritionally stressed. They're hungry and a little grouchy.
Take a peek around when you go out to let dogs out in the morning or step out of your front yard. If you do have an encounter with a moose that's aggressive or stressed, please let the Anchorage Fish and Game office know, or the Alaska Wildlife Troopers, so that we can take a look at that animal and evaluate it.
While there have been no reports of aggressive moose so far, it is a possibility. That's why Fish and Game urges you to be on the lookout and always give them plenty of space. Last year brought struggles for ski area across South Central with the lack of snow. And now this year, after this week's dumping of snow in Anchorage, the slopes are, for the most part, still pretty quiet as they continue to wait for more snowfall in order to open up the season. Anchorage's snow dump this week of 19.4 inches only brought Arctic Valley 8 inches of snow. The ski area telling us it's still waiting for at least another foot of snow before it can open up. Last year, the lack of snow caused them to push their start date to early February.
You know, financially that hurts some, right, to not be able to, to miss the first couple of months of ski season or a month and a half of ski season. But fortunately, we've got snow tubing and we've got a strong wedding business that, helps us keep going and, mitigates that impact a little bit. We were able to stay open through the first Saturday in May. For skiing and snowboarding though, so we were able to extend the season by about 3 weeks, which did help make up for some of that.
Right now, with the forecasted snow, the ski area is hoping it can open up next weekend. Hilltop Ski Area and Alyeska have been open since the weekend after Thanksgiving. And Fairbanks leaders are calling 8 violent crimes over the last 10 weeks coincidental, including 7 shootings that left 4 dead. We asked Fairbanks residents if they agree. Some people living in the Golden Heart City told our Matt Mertes they don't necessarily feel any less safe than usual. Others think the prolonged period of extreme sub-zero cold weather has played a role.
I'm an Alaska kid, born and raised, but I've lived in pretty much lived on the street in a lot of cities in the United States, and Fairbanks seems perfectly safe to me.
I get people's concerns, but it just kind of feels like it's just the same amount that happens in Fairbanks.
I think Alaska, and Fairbanks especially, has its own flavor of Alaska man or woman, and I just think that it's seasonal partly.
Police have made arrests in 7 of the 8 cases. In November case where someone shot at 2 trucks on the highway remains unsolved, with a $20,000 reward being offered. We'll link you to our investigation on our website and mobile app. And turning tragedy into triumph, a mother's unwavering love is creating a lasting legacy for her son. A daring climber whose dream now will help others reach new heights. Danny Tompkins shares the inspiring story.
It needs to be positive, to help others, to teach others, to bring people together.
Janine Mormon's son, Balin Miller, was a great climber.
Here's Balin coming up the very snowy mixed pitch,
who summited one of the most difficult climbs on El Capitan in Yosemite National Park.
Sea of Dreams is hardly ever done, period. And he did it solo.
But fell when going back to retrieve his gear.
But I'm still proud of him. I'm pissed that he's dead. But he did make that summit, and people need to know that about him.
And Mormon couldn't let it be the end of Miller's story.
All the grief and sadness that I have, I can't just sit on it. I have to turn it into something positive and good.
That good led her to the Balin Scott Miller Foundation.
It may prevent somebody from a back concussion, stitches, an arm, a limb, or even death. Balin would want that.
The foundation that will offer 2 grants to climbers under the age of 24. One grant
is called the To Be Fair Balin Shoe Grant, because Balin, his favorite line, he'd come to any conversation, he'd be like, "To be fair, Mom."
A grant specifically for shoes.
The other, called the Orange Tent Guy grant, will be for essential climbing gear, like the 70-meter rope that is between $200 and $400, or these quick draws that are $20 each, both essential for safely climbing.
Mormon is also putting her experience into words.
And there's an article that's being published on his birthday, which is Monday the 12th.
What are we going to climb?
Monday would have been Miller's 24th birthday. The magazine didn't know. The timing, purely chance.
Are you serious? I was like, really? You know, and it wasn't planned.
For Janine, the coincidence may be a sign.
I hope he's watching.
That turning her pain into purpose is exactly what Miller would want.
So maybe all the tears I've shed, I've shed thousands. Maybe that will be replaced with grants and money to help forward somebody else's dreams.
Miller's friends and family plan to meet for his birthday at his second home, which is the Safeway parking lot in Canmore, Canada, where he would spend weeks on end camping just so he could climb. They're going to wear orange, put on glitter, and celebrate a life that continues to inspire. Danny Tompkins, Alaska's news source.
Mormon asked for people to wear orange on Monday in support and share on Instagram by tagging orangetentguy.us. And Alaska Senator Lisa Murkowski is calling for a full and independent investigation into ICE after the fatal shooting this week in Minneapolis. In a statement posted to social media, Murkowski said the video from the scene is deeply disturbing. She added that as the nation mourns the loss of life, and that there must be a thorough and objective review. Later in that statement, the senator also called for policy changes, saying steps are needed to prevent similar tragedies in the future. And on Thursday, the U.S. House of Representatives voted to extend the Obamacare tax credits that had expired on January 1st. Alaska's News Source's Washington correspondent Emma Wolfhurst has what this could mean for your insurance premiums.
Come back with a bipartisan compromise. The 3-year extension is not going to become law.
When the enhanced premium tax credits expired at the start of this year, millions of Americans on ACA plans saw their premiums go up.
They found their way there because of public pressure. And that is what and public outcry. That is really what moves the needle here.
The Senate is expected to amend this legislation because a 3-year extension already failed last month.
I'm willing to negotiate in good faith and come to a bipartisan agreement. I want to extend the enhanced premium tax credits with reforms. Today was a vote to advance legislation to the Senate.
In Washington, Emma Wolfhurst.
A day after the fatal shooting in Minneapolis by the ICE officer, Vice President J.D. Vance made an appearance in the White House briefing room Thursday, where he defended ICE agents and took a question from our White House correspondent, John Decker. Here's John Decker.
Vice President J.D. Vance is doubling down on the Trump administration's immigration enforcement tactics as he defended an ICE officer who fatally shot a woman in Minneapolis this week.
Great. Well, good afternoon, everybody.
In a rare appearance in the White House briefing room, the vice president lashed out at what he called left-wing radicals for inflaming tensions over Wednesday's deadly ICE shooting in Minneapolis.
The president stands with ICE. I stand with ICE. We stand with all of our law enforcement officers.
Vice President Vance said that based on what he saw in the video, the deceased 37-year-old woman was there to interfere with a legitimate law enforcement operation. Vance's conclusions led me to ask this question to the vice president.
What's your message to the leaders in Minnesota, the governor of Minnesota, the mayor of Minneapolis, to calm down the situation on the ground, on the streets? What's your message also to those protesters who saw that video in a completely different way than you saw that video?
Well, first of all, I think if you watch every angle of that video, there is one angle where if you squint, you can maybe tell yourself that it's not clear what happened. But when you look at all angles of that video, it is very clear that her vehicle went right for the guy. She actually collided with him, and then that's, of course, when he fired his shots. That's obvious, okay? So what I'd say to the protesters is, by all means, protest peacefully, but make this about ideas. Make this about disagreement with our policy. Don't use your protest as a justification or an encouragement for people to go and incite violence and participate in violence against our law enforcement officials.
Vance, without providing any evidence, said the deceased woman was part of a broad left-wing network. Democratic leaders in Minnesota maintain that the woman was killed unlawfully by a reckless ICE officer. At the White House, I'm John Decker.
The U.S. Senate moved forward on a plan to limit President Donald Trump's authority to use military force in Venezuela without congressional approval. 5 Republicans sided with Democrats to advance that bill. Alaska News Source's Washington correspondent Brendan Cullerton has the latest from Capitol Hill.
A growing number of Republicans now believe Congress should have more authority over the U.S. military in Venezuela as concerns grow in Washington over President Donald Trump's actions in foreign countries. Following President Donald Trump's revelation that the U.S. could run Venezuela for multiple years, Democrat Mark Warner says it's time to rein in the administration.
Do we really want Donald Trump on his own with no oversight running Venezuela for a year plus without any legal constraints, without any financial constraints?
Democrat Tim Kaine wrote the bill and says he has no problem with the arrest of Nicolas Maduro, but he thinks Congress should be consulted if the administration wants boots on the ground.
More than 200 enemies have been killed. U.S. troops have been injured. 2 are still hospitalized. And now we understand, after the hearing yesterday and what's been made public, this will go on for a long period of time.
Republican James Risch says Trump is making the right calls on Venezuela, and limiting his authority would amount to a slap in the face.
The president's decision was the right call. Let's acknowledge that fact. Let's celebrate that fact. Let's resolve that the president of the United States is to be commended for what he did.
After the vote, in a Truth Social post, Trump called out the 5 Republicans by name who voted to limit his powers and said Republicans should be ashamed of them, arguing his actions are within his constitutional powers. The Senate is expected to take a final vote on the plan next week. It would also need to pass the House and be signed by President Trump to become law. In Washington, I'm Brendan Cullerton.
Sorry about that, my mic was off, but now more than 400,000 Volvos have been recalled because of an issue with the rear view camera. The recall affects multiple models from 2021 to 2025. Those include the XC60, XC90, and cross-country models, among others. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, the rear-view camera image may not appear when the car is in reverse. Instead, the display will have an error message, which is a violation of a federal motor vehicle safety standard. As of last month, no accident or injuries had been reported as a result of the issue. Volvo dealers will install a new software update free of charge. And the Internal Revenue Service says excuse me if the wrong video just played. This is the correct video for the Volvos. Of course, these are the vehicles themselves. And the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS, says it will start accepting tax filings on January 26th. Taxpayers could see a bigger tax refund this year due to major changes from the 2025 One Big Beautiful Bill Act. According to financial firm Piper Sandler, refund checks could jump by an additional $1,000. If you owe or don't need your refund right away, you've still got until April 15th to file. It's worth it to be a little extra diligent this year, though. There have been several changes to the tax code, and there's a good chance at least one of them will affect you. And a couple is transforming lives. They give wigs and hope to women battling hair loss. Evan Leake shows us how they turned what seems like an impossible dream into a mission to help others.
You can only curl human hair. Synthetic hair you cannot curl.
It always felt like just a dream for Haith Johnson.
But I will never forget it. I was working at a 3,000 square foot salon. I looked around and said, I don't want this salon. I'm 19 years old. This place was gigantuous to me. It just seemed like almost impossible.
Well, she and her husband Henry have made it possible. Decades of building La Hoste Beauty into a safe space for those in need.
Very pretty. Looks like my hair.
From veterans.
My husband's a vet. He served in the Gulf War. And when he came home, he just told me the different situations that women still needed wigs.
To those battling cancer.
Anytime women are diagnosed with any medical condition that causes major hair loss, we're there to be that answer for them, whether it's balding, shedding, or just a hug sometimes.
The Johnsons have gotten a lot of recognition for their work, including medals of honor from then Second Lady Karen Pence, even Walmart working to share their story and their products.
Before we knew it, we were in 1,000 Walmarts across the country, 35 states. That was mind-blowing to me. That's when I knew what we're doing, it really does matter.
Faced with closing during the pandemic, Walmart moved the Johnsons and La Hoste from the Motor City to the Las Vegas Valley, helping keep their dream of creating positive change in the world alive.
When we take this wig and put it on her head, because she's going bald, because she doesn't feel pretty, or because she's been in a domestic situation and now she's dealing with depression or whatever it's caused her to lose her hair, we're part of her success story now.
Evan Leake, Fox 5 News, local Las Vegas.
And now, Saints and Angels carved from the ice welcomed tourists and residents in Yekaterinburg, Russia, as Russians celebrated the Orthodox Christmas. The festival attracted not only local residents, but also tourists from other Russian regions. The festival's main sculptor said the last emperor of Russia, Nicholas II, and St. Nicholas, carved from the ice by sculptors and artists outside the Church of All Saints, reflect the connection of the city with the royal family. And Girl Scouts are unboxing a new cookie flavor for 2026. As this year's National Cookie Season kicks off, you'll see Explore Mores along with fan favorites in the lineup. It's a Rocky Road ice cream inspired sandwich cookie. Excuse me, it's not ice cream, but you know, I wouldn't be opposed to a Girl Scout cookie ice cream. So the Explore Mores are filled with flavors of chocolate, marshmallow, and toasted almond flavored cream. Girl Scout cookie season runs from January through April. The organization says cookie sales help teach entrepreneurial skills for girls and fund experiments like service projects, troop travel, and summer camp. The Jacksonville Jaguars are gearing up for their playoff matchup against the Buffalo Bills this Sunday, and one superstitious Jags fan is hoping his unusual yard decoration brings them good luck. Tim Altman from Callahan has kept his Halloween skeleton named Skellen Quinn guarding his front window since the team's win streak began. Altman says he's not superstitious, just a little stitious, and won't take down the skeleton, which now sports an old Jaguars jersey and a giant football until the team loses. He's even been updating Skellen Quinn with seasonal hats, hoping the lucky charm will stay up all the way through the Super Bowl and beyond. And finally, astronomers have a new theory about a mysterious unknown astronomical object known as Cloud 9. Scientists say Cloud 9 appears to be a starless cloud dominated by dark matter. Dark matter is believed to make up 85% of the total matter in the universe and can be detected due to its gravitational effects. Cloud 9 was first discovered 3 years ago, but a new report says that the object is the result of a failed galaxy. Scientists came to that conclusion after seeing Hubble telescope pictures, which revealed a lack of stars. Astronomers say the research could lead to a better understanding of dark matter, how galaxies are formed, and how the universe was formed. And that wraps up the Morning Edition Extra for this Friday morning. Thank you for starting off your Friday with us at Alaska's News Source. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you again at noon. Have a good day.